A very good evening. Welcome to World Now at 4. I am Peace Ogenegbawe. First, the headlines. On the headlines, appeal court orders ASU to end 8-month-old strike. Burkina Faso Army issues warning amid rumors. Still in the news, Biden offers warning over Putin's threats. And on sport, Portugal winger to miss World Cup. Now the news in detail. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari has said the federal government targets 1.92 trillion naira in oil revenues in 2023. Buhari revealed this while presenting the 2023 appropriation bill to a joint session of the National Assembly in Abuja today. Explaining further, he said the government will spend 20.15 trillion naira for the 2023 fiscal year, 6.31 trillion naira and 2.42 trillion naira. Of that money will go to debt servicing and government-owned enterprises, respectively. Also speaking, leader of the Joint Assembly member Ahmed Lawan said oil thieves are the reason why the economy has been suffering setbacks. The federal government has declared Monday, October 10, 2022 as public holiday to mark this year's Eid al-Maulud celebration. Minister of Interior Rauf Aregbesola made this declaration on behalf of the federal government in Abuja. In a communique signed by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, Shuaib Belgore, the government congratulated all Muslims both at home and in diaspora for witnessing this year's celebration of the birth of the Holy Prophet Muhammad. Aregbesola admonished all to imbibe the spirit of love, peace, tolerance, and perseverance, which are deep spiritual virtues and which the Holy Prophet exemplified as doing so will guarantee peace, security, and harmony in the country. He also enjoined Nigerians, particularly Muslims, to refrain from violence, lawlessness, and other acts of criminality. The Federal Road Safety Corps, that is the FRSC, has on Friday warned motorists against plying the Abuja-Lokoja Road owing to the flooding around Kotonkafi in Lokoja, Kogi State. A statement by Assistant Corps Marshal and Corps Public Education Officer BC Kazim advised motorists to ply a different route through the Suleja-Bida-Mokwa Road. The statement read that the information was to the general public owing to the flooding around Kotonkafi in Lokoja, Kogi State, I beg your pardon, which has impeded the free flow of traffic on the Lokoja-Abuja Expressway for the last 3 days. Still in the news, Court of Appeal sitting in Abuja has ordered members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, that is ASU, to end their 8-month-old strike action and return to the classroom immediately. The Appellate Court, in a ruling that was delivered by a 3-man panel led by Justice Hama Barka, stressed that it would not entertain any appeal from ASU until it obeyed the order of the National Industrial Court, which is the NIC. It, however, granted the aggrieved varsity lecturers the leave to proceed with the 14th ground of appeal they earlier filed to set aside the interlocutory injunction of the NIC, which was given in favor of the federal government. The NIC had, in its ruling on September 21, ordered ASU to call off the strike action in national interest and for the sake of undergraduates in the country. It also ordered the striking lecturers to return to classroom pending the determination of a suit already filed to query the legality of their strike action. You're watching Africa World Now at 4 on Hills TV. We bring you story from Burkina Faso after this break. Welcome back. And now to Burkina Faso, where the military has warned the public not to circulate rumors and false information amid claims that France was working with unnamed army generals to remove new junta leader Captain Ibrahim Traoré from power. The Ministry of Communication also called the rumors unfounded and urged citizens to remain calm and distance themselves from misinformation and trust official channels only. The warning came after protesters were held outside the state broadcaster, in which demonstrators accused army generals of planning to remove Captain Traoré. According to privately owned radio, there were rumors that a general in the army could replace Captain Traoré as the new head of state. And we move away from that story and bring you this from Lesotho, where voters in the Southern African Kingdom has cast their ballots in parliamentary elections today. About 1.5 million people actually cast their ballots, which is closing at 5 p.m. today. Only 47% of registered voters bothered to cast their ballot at the last election in 2017. The outgoing president is led by the Al-Basotho Convention, but current Prime Minister Mokgweetsi Bajoro is not seeking another term. After being ousted as party head earlier this year, his predecessor, Thomas Tabin, was forced to step down in 2020 after being accused of ordering the murder of his estranged wife. Charges, however, against him were dropped in July. The outgoing parliament failed to pass a law aimed at strengthening political stability by banning lawmakers from switching party allegiance within the first 3 years of their tenure. The 120-seat parliament is chosen by a mixed electoral system of 80 lawmakers being voted in by constituents, while another 40 seats are distributed proportionally. International observers are also monitoring the vote, as results expected to come in next week. News from other parts of the world will come your way after this break. Just stay with us. Welcome back. And now to the United States, where President Biden warned Russian President Vladimir Putin's threat to use nuclear weapons amounted to the most serious prospect of Armageddon in 60 years. Biden's comments came during a Democratic fundraiser in New York City, where he spent much of the time warning about the threats he said are posed by Republicans, but also brought up Putin and Russia's war in Ukraine.
In the last year, our world has experienced great upheaval. A growing crisis in food insecurity, record heat, floods and droughts, COVID-19, inflation, and a brutal, needless war. A war chosen by one man, to be very blunt. Let us speak plainly. A permanent member of the United Nations Security Council invaded its neighbor, attempted to erase a sovereign state from the map. Russia has shamelessly violated the core tenets of the United Nations Charter. No more important than the clear...
His invasion of Ukraine, Putin has issued several threats about using nuclear weapons, particularly as Russia's military outlook has worsened. In recent weeks, Putin has had to order a partial military mobilization to call up as many as 300,000 reservists, while Ukrainian forces have regained territory on the east and south fronts. In a fiery speech last Friday, during the ceremony to formally annex the Ukrainian territories, a move widely condemned as illegal, Putin warned that the United States had created a precedent when it used nuclear weapons against Japan in 1945. And out to Spain, where Spanish prosecutors are investigating a group of male university students filmed chanting obscene misogynistic abuse at female students in Madrid. Videos have circulated for days of abuse being hurled from the windows of an all-male students' building late on Sunday at women in the block opposite Spanish PM Pedro Sanchez criticized the macho, inexplicable, unjustified, and absolutely repugnant behavior. It has drawn political condemnation and triggered widespread debate. Then, in a choreographed move, fellow students across the Colegio Mayor Elias Aguja building pulled open their blinds and started shouting and making animal noises. A Sunday night's video of students from the university went viral. There was an immediate backlash across the spectrum. Meanwhile, the leader of the conservative opposition Popular Party, Alberto Núñez Feijóo, called for society to finish with these intolerable sexist attitude. And now to Palestine, where police has confirmed the arrest of a suspect in the killing of a 25-year-old man after his body was found decapitated in the occupied West Bank. Otherwise known as LGBTQ groups in Israel, where Ahmed Abu Maher was seeking asylum, says he had received threats because he was gay. Video of the murder scene in Hebron has spread widely on social media, raising speculations about the motive, but police say nothing is confirmed. The group says he had spent 2 years in Israel waiting on an asylum claim to flee abroad after receiving death threats from within his community. Israeli media quotes friends of the victim as saying he was kidnapped to the West Bank. His family, however, said he regularly visited Hebron to see them and to work. They described the claims about the motive as a rumor. Homosexuality is rejected within the most sociable and religiously conservative part of both Palestinian and Israeli societies, and the reports suggest he had fled his home on a humanitarian permit while hoping to go to Canada. Let's now go on a break, and when we come back, Business News returns with us. To stay with us. Welcome back. Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, that is the NMDPRA, has said the queues for fuel in the nation's capital, Abuja, and environs were triggered by the flood in Lokoja, Kogi State. NMDPRA revealed this in a statement on Thursday, adding that it is collaborating with relevant stakeholders and government agencies to ensure that fuel is available across the country. The Petroleum Regulatory Body added that the conveyance of petrol products has been made possible through alternative routes as part of processes to alleviate the situation. NMDPRA advised Nigerians to avoid panic buying and assured them that there are still sufficient petroleum products to move around. It also appealed to petroleum marketers to desist from hoarding the products so as not to inflict hardship on Nigerians. The flood has been in Lokoja Road, and this has displaced residents and washed away farmlands since late September. In the United States of America, job growth has slowed for a second month, in a sign that the labor market in the world's largest economy may be starting to cool. U.S. employers added 263,000 new jobs in September, which is almost half the average number seen so far this year. Despite the slowdown, analysts said the U.S. Central Bank will need to do more to rein in rapidly rising prices. The dollar strengthened following the report as investors expect interest rates to continue to rise. This strengthening pushed the pound down to 1 cent, having been above $1.12 before the jobs figure were released. The labor market in the U.S. is being closely watched as the U.S. Central Bank raises borrowing costs sharply. Officials, however, hope the higher interest rate will cool demand for big-ticket items such as homes, cars, and business expansions and ease the pressure that are pushing up prices at the fastest pace since 1980s. Let's now join Ayanan Lubem for sports news, I beg your pardon, after this break.
A very good evening to you and welcome to Sport News on World Now at 4. I am Richard Badung. On the news, Minister of Youth and Sports Development Sunday Dare on Thursday inaugurated the Musa Kida-led Nigerian Basketball Federation Board, that is NBBF, at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium, Abuja. Dare described the inauguration as significant for the growth of basketball in Nigeria and the forward leap in the mandate of the ministry in superintending and supporting federations for the development of sports, challenging the new board to embrace reconciliation and a review of its constitution to ensure inclusiveness. Responding on behalf of the board, Kida expressed gratitude to the minister for resolving the crisis that plagued the federation for over 5 years by recognizing the outcome of the elective congress. Kida also assured the minister that the NBBF under his watch will develop basketball from the grassroots and restore the nation's glory in international competitions. Away from that story, ahead of the first leg of the qualifying round of the CAF Champions League, the opponents of Nigeria's representative, Plateau United, have landed in Abuja. The team departed Tunis, the capital of Tunisia, on Thursday afternoon after observing their morning training. The former African champions landed in Abuja, the venue of the match, in early hours of Friday of Africa and moved straight to their hotel. They will have their compulsory training at the match venue MKO Abiola Stadium later on Saturday evening before the game that's slated for Sunday. The second leg will hold on Friday, 14th October 2022 in Tunis, Tunisia. And away from there now, Nigel Benn, father of Conor Benn, has said he is clean and his team will get to the bottom of the failed drug test that has led to the postponement of Saturday's fight with Chris Eubank Jr.
I've been with my son for the last 10 weeks and the training has just gone absolutely the best it could ever been. He's a dedicated trainer, he leaves no stone unturned, and we'll get to the bottom of this. I love my son. I know he don't cut no corners, he just goes straight at it 100%. But we'll keep you informed, we'll let you know what the next step is. But you know, he's a faithful trainer and he's a clean athlete. Speak to you all soon. God bless.
The bout was called off on Thursday after Benn, 26, returned trace amounts of fertility drug clomiphene during a test. The British Boxing Board of Control prohibited the fight on Wednesday when news of Benn's field test broke out. The welterweight's father has maintained his son's innocence. The bout attempting to replicate the storied 1990s Benn Eubank rivalry between fathers Nigel and Chris had sold out the O2 Arena in London. Benn and Eubank were scheduled to meet at the catch weight of 157 lbs 30 years after their fathers fought. Eubank Sr. winning their first bout in 1990 before a rematch 3 years later ended in a draw. And away from that, leaving you with this one, as English Premier League side Wolves have confirmed that Portugal forward Pedro Neto will miss the 2022 World Cup as it requires an ankle operation, the team announced today. The 22-year-old suffered the injury in their 2-0 defeat by West Ham on Saturday, 1st October, when he was substituted after 24 minutes. The Premier League club said that Neto strained his lateral ligaments. The World Cup will take place from 20 November to 18 December in Qatar. And that's your sport news on World Now at 4. Back to Peace Ogenegbawe for the rest of the news. I am Richard Badum.
Welcome and thank you very much, Richard Badum, for the news. Veteran Nollywood actress Ngozi Ezonu has bagged an international appointment. The actress took to her social media page to confirm her latest achievement. She said she has been appointed as the International Peace Ambassador and expressed appreciation to God. Celebrating her new appointment, Ezonu said it is another feather to her cap. Congratulations to you, Ngozi. Well, that's World Now at 4. But before we go, here are the headlines again. We told you that the appeal court has ordered ASU to end 8-month-old strike. Burkina Faso Army has issued warning amid rumors. Joe Biden has offered warning over Putin's threat. And on sport, Portugal winger is to miss World Cup. Remember to visit us on Facebook, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Hills TV. I am Peace Ogenegbawe. Thank you for watching.